Hello everybody, we are back. It's Board Bob here with Factorio Modded. Whilst I was down here, I want to show you something real quick. Basically, I went ahead and I hooked up to these mine patches, or these iron patches down here, and the copper patch here, etc., just picking up some more resources because we're going to need them. One of the things you can see is that this iron patch had a bit of copper in it. So as you notice, this coming up is coming up as a completely separate line. And what I did is I set up the drills just to pick up the edges of this copper. And what we've done is we've brought that up as a separate line, and I put a number of filter inserters on that line up here at our processing area, so that it picks out the copper and it picks out the iron and separates the two of them out. There's probably a much more efficient way to do it than what I did it. It's simply a matter of, it was a tiny patch, there was no sense to get too wrapped around the axle on how. The other line itself, when that plays out, of course all those lines will come up, but we needed the iron. We have pretty much at this point depleted. Now this was the original starting patch over there, but we have pretty much depleted this iron deposit that was over here. I think we're down to a total of like 6 miners. 2, 4, 5. Okay, we're down even further than I thought. We're down to 5 miners. We have cleaned this completely out, and that's kind of what we're doing over here. So this is, that line comes up, comes across, and feeds here. So I've got these inserters here. These ones are pulling iron out. These ones are pulling copper out. Of course, copper's going into the inputted into our copper ore system. Iron's going into our iron system. It varies, as you can see. It's kind of variegated here on there's a good word for you. It's one of those SAT words, right? Variegated. Anyway, you can see how it's kind of mixed in here. So it gets heavy copper, then heavy iron, and heavy copper. So right now it's not moving because we don't have a whole lot of demand for copper. And that's what it's packed up on right now, is copper. Periodically I'll come up here and I'll grab a bunch of the copper out, and I'll get rid of it and distribute it or whatever. But we don't have a whole lot of demand for copper right now, so it's not really doing a whole lot. We will be increasing that relatively shortly. I went ahead and extended out my steel lines all the way over. And one of the other things I did was, was the old original starting patch. There was a bit of mine here, and I basically cut off all of the copper production with the exception of these 2 mines, and I just had it full bore sucking copper out of the earth right here. Once that was gone and I could go ahead and turn it back on, I did. But I wanted to be able to bring this up, and I wanted to have the space between them, and I wanted this to not be in the way that I had to go underground belts or something. So there it is. I banged that out so that we've got that going. As you can see, ooh, and here's another one that just recently died out. As these die out, I'm cleaning them up. I'm trying to get these patches gone. Waste not, want not, and all of that. But I want these out of my way, because that's where the train's going to come down through, is here. So yeah, so that's what I got going now. As you can see, I have removed, speaking of getting things out of the way, I have removed any of the oil production from here. Basically what I did is I ran a line down to the tanks. I added a few extra tanks down here. So these are no longer 5x5. They're now 6x5, I believe, is what we've got going down here now. And and I basically just ran a temporary line down here, and because these were full. The only thing that is not full is my petroleum gas, and I'm going to have to do something about that here shortly. Right now we're okay because we're not using a lot of plastic, but we've got to address this petroleum gas issue at some point. But anyway, so what I did is just added some extra pipes, and I put down the pumps, and I basically sucked those systems dry, filled these systems up, and went from there. The other thing I did, and of course this is all off camera, was I went ahead and I finished up my laser defenses. So like I say, right now the only thing we're pulling out the petroleum gas for is to make the sulfuric acid, to make the plastic, to make the batteries, or even just to make the batteries. I don't even think we're pulling it for plastic at this point anymore. We did some plastic, I think, for a couple of things, but now it's just the batteries. And the batteries have kind of played themselves out as far as sucking up the sulfuric acid, which in turn means sucking up the petroleum gas, which is fine. I mean, we're not using it right now, and we got all the lasers we needed. In fact, it looks like we have a few extras in the chests. Why don't we just grab them out of there, because I know we'll need them later. So why don't we just grab them while we're down here. So what's that give us? That gives us almost 60. That's cool. So yeah, I went ahead and, as you'll be able to see, I finished out lasers around all the walls. And the other thing is I did is I took out that dog leg in that wall, like I said I was going to do. You know, before it came over and then down, and I wanted to get rid of that corner, and I just ran it straight down here. So that is it. That is the extent of our initial base. I do need to put a radar down here, obviously. This is all the further out we're going to expand these walls. From here on out, we're going to be building outlying settlements. If we run out of room in here, that's it. We go other places. Now, clearing out these ore patches is going to alleviate some of that. These will eventually go away. This coal may or may not go away. I mean, coal is one of those things that you really kind of need it to begin with, and then it doesn't seem like you need it so much. Unless, of course, you want to do coal gasification and add some more crude oil. So that's what I got going there. Now, the other thing I did is, some of you may have noticed, up here in the left-hand corner, I have added another mod. Actually, I've added two mods to the game. One of those mods is EvenMoreLight, which, as you can see, brightens it up a little bit with regards to nighttime. So it's a little better for you guys to be able to see for recording purposes and stuff like that. It really doesn't change the game, other than makes it a little more easy for me to see in the dark, but so what. But yeah, so it's EvenMoreLight, and the other one is this the EvoGUI is what the name of the mod is. And what EvoGUI does is it tells us what the biter evolution is and what the playtime for this particular save is. In other words, how long we've actually been playing this game. So I thought that now that's we can change our GUI settings to a number of different things, but that's what I have it set up for. We can do a kill count, we can do how much time we've played, we can do player locations, nearby pollution level. There are a lot of little things that you can put into this GUI. I'm just using the evolution factor and the amount of time played, but there are other things that you can throw in there. Oh nope, back. Resume, close. I hit the escape key instead. So there it is. So that's the two that I added in, was the EvoGUI and the EvenMoreLight. Now I will put them like I've got the links to the other mods. I will put the links to those in the doobly-doo at the bottom. so that you guys can see the mods and where I got them and the discussion threads for them. So let's go on up here. We have gotten, so far we're basically got our green circuits going, and we got our gears going. The next thing I want to do is I want to lay down a factory for my inserters and my belts. Just the basic inserters, just the basic belts, because those go into producing science. So I want to have a large factory for those. When we start getting into the other belts and stuff, we'll just set up a smaller factory. We don't need as huge of a factory for those. But the other thing I want to do is, and then as you can see, I brought my steel up. So I'm running 4 lines, 2 lines. I'm going to bring my green circuits over, and I'm going to bring my gears over, and this will be now 4. That'll make that 4 lines as well, because I know other things are going to use both of those as we build out. So I want to go ahead and bring those 2 over right off the bat before I get, build another set of factories up here. One of the other things that I did, and this is, I kind of squeezed it in here, just like I built these buffers down here. I'm trying to put buffers in where I can to kind of take up some of the changes in production. So I picked off here and I wrapped it down, right, and it fills these chests. They're all steel chests, and then I'm bringing it back around and I'm putting it back in. Now, the thing you have to be careful of with this is you can cause yourself some feedback loop issues. If I were to have brought this up and deposit it here prior to where I'm taking it off to fill this buffer, I've set up a situation where it's just going to be a merry-go-round. So what I've done is, when I'm inserting it back into the system, I'm inserting it into the system after I pull it out. So you gotta make sure to be careful where you set this up, because if you set it up prior, it's just going to be robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you're just going to set up this big loop-de-loop. So there's that one, and I basically did the same exact thing over here for the green circuits, and this one's not quite finished filling yet, but it's pretty close. But the other thing this does is it also gives me a spot that I can come and I can pick some of these up if I need extras. But as you can see, I'm picking off here, I'm bringing it back up, and I'm putting it in afterwards. If I were to put it in here, it would put it in this chest, send it all the way down, bring it up, put it in, and you would see it go roundy, 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 roundy. In fact, what I might do at some point, just for the fun of it, although I don't want to pollute the mix, would be to put in a single red circuit just to see how long it takes. You know what? Let's do that. Do I have a red circuit on me? I don't have a red circuit on me. Can I build a red circuit? I can build. I'm going to build 1 red circuit just for fun. And we're going to stick that 1 red circuit, because I don't have any filter inserters here. It's just regular inserters. So we're going to drop that 1 red circuit right here in the first chest. There we go. And just for fun, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this input that puts it back in up here, and I'm going to put it in prior. So we're going to put it in right before it. So as you can see, it's going to pull them out, and it's going to put them back up here, and it's just going to keep sucking it down. This is not going to get any hardly any fuller other than what's going to come up from up here, but it's going to take from here as well. I'm kind of curious to see, maybe it's not going to take so much from there because it's on the other side, I guess, because of where it's pulling from. If we did this, on the other hand, would it pull from the... No, it's still going to pull from the bottom. Well, we'll just leave it there. I'm curious to see how long it takes for that one chip to migrate through the system. To kind of show you just the example of it feeding that in. So we're going to leave that one chip there. We'll just keep track of it over time. Should be an interesting little experiment. I think it's going to be fun to see where that sucker goes. So let's turn that back the way it was. We'll leave that go for now. Now, mind you, when I bring this up, I am going to bring it up from that same side, because eventually we're going to put that splitter back in. But I just want to see, just for curiosity's sake, how long it takes for that one chip to migrate through the system. And it's probably not going to happen until such a time as we've got a fairly good, decent load on our green circuits. But it'll be interesting to see. So there's that. All right, so let's bring these over and get them over in this area rather than being spread out over here on the side. I kind of want to keep everything together and organized. So we're going to want to bring these underneath. We'll just do right here. And how far out can we go? We can go right there. Yeah, let's do that. And there's that one. And then that is going to come right back around. Oh, you know what? Let's do it there, right? And then theoretically, we should be able to. Yeah. Maybe. Ooh, no, we ain't got. Well, yeah, we can make it work. We'll make it work. We will make it work. Now, eventually what I'm going to want to do, obviously, is to set these puppies up so that all the corners have high-speed belts so that we don't lose our compression. But, you know, in the meantime, no, you know what? I screwed up because we want it to be here and here. Right? Yeah. No, we don't care about this one. We don't care about this one because this is that. We're going to put that back in later. Yeah, because that'll go. Yeah, okay. So this, yeah, we want to change where this is at by just a little bit. Get rid of some of these. All right, can we do this? Yes, we can throw them in there. I should have not completely connected it till I knew it had it completely connected. I try to make a habit of that so that I don't do exactly what I just did, which is to say fill the belt with stuff that I then end up having to pick up and move. But you know, me being me, I'm not the brightest bulb in the box at times. Alright, so that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there we go. Now let's bring this back. There. Alright. So that is, now you see that's going to take up this is going to make up for this sudden increase in demand and infill some so that we're not suddenly without. So that's the intention with this. Let's go ahead and get rid of the rest of these. How are we looking here? It's still, still in the same place. Right, so let's see. Do we got everything coming over here? Oops, not quite. We need a belt there and a belt there. There we go. That should complete those two. Now we should have everything coming up on the side we want it coming up on. Yep, there we go. So now we got 4, 4, and 4. Now let's go ahead and lay down and start building. You know what? Let's do belts first. Simply by virtue of the fact that we're probably going to use a heck of a lot of them. Now, in the past, one of the things I was doing was I was using these single input or these single line ends, and I was splitting the belts. And what I ended up seeing was that in instances where the system got stressed, my production went through the floor. The thing with it is with belts, I don't think that that's going to be a problem. So I had said that I was going to start using the ones with the 2 inputs in order to combat that, and then refigure from there. For the belts, I don't think I'm going to need to worry about that. I don't think I'm going to be too stressed. If I have to go back and change it, I will change it. But I think I can still continue to get away with this single input to the system. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to move where the inputs are coming in at, because and where the outputs are going out at, simply to line up with the current production. But everything else on this is going to stay the same. So I'm going to go ahead and plop this down right here. It kind of lines up with the factories below it. Of course, I've got that overlap, so I'm just going to shift click, and that will allow me to put it down. It just won't put down the indications there, but I don't have robots right now anyway. I'm simply doing it in order to make my life a little simpler with regards to laying this stuff out, because it gives me a guide to lay it out by. There we go. So let's go ahead and set this up, and like before, and I just screwed up, of course, if you put it over top, it's going to get rid of something. So this is going to be our belts. So we're going to need 2 things for this. We're going to need plates, and we're going to need gears. Okay. And again, since I'm not producing en masse yet, I'm just going to use normal yellow inserters. We will go back once we've got all of this production going, and we can grab a whole handful of them at a time. We'll go back and replace all of this. This is just, I want to get us going. I want to get us past this initial stage of where we've got to set everything up. You know, that takes a little bit of time, and I want to do that as quickly as I can, without having to spend a ton of time waiting on stuff to handcraft. You know, and at the same time not having to build a bunch of bootstrap systems just to get us going. So that's the input, that's the output. Everything flows in the same direction. The only thing that doesn't is the inserters, which we've got. Oops, we missed a set, didn't we? Yep, we missed a set of inserters. Alright, let's put these ones down. once we get robots, it's nice because we won't forget anything. And having the schematics and already having them in place gives us this guide. So it's nice to have the guide, but it's also nice to have it kind of figured out and the bugs worked out of it, so that when we do get to the point of having robots, which is not that far away, because we do have the ability to make engines, and we do have the ability to make electric engines, and robots too, I believe. I think we've... Oh, speaking of which, sugar. What are we going to research? So we have red, green, and military science that we can do. Alright, well, next thing on the list is combat robot damage. Do we want that, or do we want shields? Let's go for shields first. What the heck? Because we're gonna wanna build our armor soon. Right now we're naked, so we don't want to be naked forever. I just haven't built any new armor after we used up the last one that bloated up on us, just because I haven't gotten around to it. Alright, so that's our input, and that's our input. And just to make sure, we need plates and gears. So I know we just moved this over here. We're going to cheat a little bit, I guess, and we're going to grab it off before it goes over there, and bring it up to this. We are probably at some point going to want a larger gear production. In fact, I know we are. But this is just to supply our belts and our inserters and the like. So you know, this will get us going with what we need to get going with right now. And then we will worry about the rest of it from there. Oh, sugar. Alright, I screwed it up. I screwed the pooch again. So, I just got done saying that because of what this is, we are only we're not going to worry about using two separate belts. And then of course I turn around and set it up to use two separate belts because I'm an idiot. So you know what, that's fine. We'll copy our production into some of these, and then we will get rid of these gears. There we go. Then we can go up and pick the ones up off of here, so that we got the room and we're not entirely stupid. Alright, so there we go. So now let's fix this. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to bring this up to here, and this to here, and then that will give us half the belt. Alright, and then we're going to split off of this belt, since... Which one did we split off before? Alright, we took off of that belt, we took off of that belt, so now we're going to take off the third belt for this. Just to kind of try and keep it balanced. We will pick off of this third belt. Although we could turn around realistically and oops, that's not belts, put in a balancer after this, but I'm not going to put in a balancer every single time I put something in here. Right now we'll just keep picking off the proper ones. And if I was thinking, I should have put that there, because there's no sense putting in multiple underground belts to cross over 4 belts, or to put the 4 belts underground. You know, there we go. Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. I hope that makes sense. I'm talk to myself a lot, and I confuse myself a lot. Anyway, so there we go. We've got iron plates going into all of them. We got we got gears going into all of them. Let's go ahead and finish telling them what to do. And then we just need to come out of them. So we're going to need nope, we don't want to do it. You know what? We'll do it right there. I don't know that I like that, but no, you know what? And I'll tell you why. I want to do it there, and I'll tell you why. I want to do it there because I want to do the same thing that I have been doing where and when I can, which is to do this. That way we don't lose those 4 that get tied up in the end of the splitter, and we've got it to use. So there we go. Even though I could have done it the other way, I didn't want to. There we go. All right. So that's that. It looks like everything else is set up. Now we just got to give it some power. So let's grab ourselves a medium. And can we reach it from somewhere? Well, you know what? I think we can reach it right there with a small. All right, so there we got our belts, right? Now I'm going to make one by hand just to show you guys something that I just recently learned. See how this stuff is coming in and spaced out? It's not really in there in a compressed manner. If we do this, because we have these 2 belts, it doesn't look like it's really taking advantage. I don't know. Somebody told me, what I understood was that by doing this, it will increase your and I could be wrong. I may be missing something here on what I need to be putting in here, but it's supposed to help with your compression on these 2 belts by doing it this way. So we'll see what the deal is. Oh, we missed one. There we go. So that's got us going at least right now for our belts. Now for inserters, we need 3 items, and they all are even. So, and again, I don't think we're going to be overwhelmed with regards to inserters. So I'm going to go ahead and use my old system for both of these, just because I know it works, and B, I don't think I'm going to be that overwhelmed with it. Now, one thing I am going to do, okay, is I do want my inputs coming from the right-hand side that they're coming from, because that's where my bus is, and I want my outputs right now going from the left-hand side. But I want to have the inputs on the bottom, not on the top. Well, I can't do this, right? Because then that puts them in the other way. So what I need to do is I need to do the flip, and this is where that KBM comes in. Is if I click on this, wait a minute, and I think I have to, let me open this up. I think I have to pull this out. All right, and we'll close the book. So now we've got the schematic itself. No, we don't, because I didn't. Yeah, we got it in hand. If I go up here and I click on KBM and I open this up, you'll see this little GUI that shows up here, right? And one of the things that it lets me do is it lets me mirror it left to right it also lets me mirror it top to bottom. So I have my schematic that I want to use it, but I want the inputs on the bottom instead of on the top. And rather than making a whole new schematic, if I do this, there it is, right? So now the inputs are on the bottom instead of on the top, and all I had to do was flip it over. So that's why I added that mod. There's other things, like I say, that you can do. You know, you can flip it. I flipped it back, so let's flip it the other direction. So now it's side to side. So this just gives you a ton of flexibility with regards to what you can do with your schematic, or your blueprints rather. I keep calling them schematics, it's just habit. But yeah, so there we go. So I can flip these back and forth any way I want them now. And it just kind of makes it a lot more convenient, especially down the road. So let's give ourselves a bit of space, because we got the belts coming out there. We want to give ourselves a bit of space to route those belts around us. That should be plenty. We'll throw that schematic, or throw that blueprint down. I'm going to put it here, open the book back up, and I'm going to put it back in the book. Just because I like to keep everything in my book. It just makes it a lot easier for me to be able to do this. Hold down the shift key and scroll with the middle mouse button to be able to pick whatever schematic or whatever blueprint I want, without having to take up a whole lot of room in my inventory. I got to get rid of that one magazine. There's no sense carrying one magazine around. Do I have any more? Yes, I have more. Alright, so let's go ahead and lay these down. One thing I did not do on that other factory, and I think it's because I need to update the blueprint, is I did not put in lights. So we'll have to go back in there and put in lights for you guys. So there we go there. Put in our poles. Now right now this is slow because we're having to do all this by hand because we're not yet producing robots. I think we may, next episode, now that we got this, we may handcraft a few robots simply by virtue of, or simply so that we can, not by virtue, but simply so that we can make some of this a little faster. For these blueprints that we've already seen, that we've already used. There is no sense reinventing the wheel with regards to showing you guys putting this stuff down that you've seen before. So once we get this down for the first time, and once I get this down, I'll kind of review how this all works for this one, because it's the first time we've put down a two input or two belt input setup here. I did carry it over from my last series, so there's more on it there, but I'll go over it with you guys real quick once I get it put down. I just want to get it knocked out first so we can kind of see what we're doing here. And the nice thing about this one, this will handle up to 4 separate materials for your production, if you put your inputs in right. Now, like I say, the thing with that being, you do run into an issue of throughput. But if throughput doesn't bother you, if you're not too concerned about worrying about the throughput, this works pretty good. It worked out the last series real nicely. The only thing I did have a slowdown on was my throughput, and that's simply one of those things you have to deal with. You have to, you have to make a decision. Do you want to live with it or not live with it? And for the last series I did, I may go back and at some point redesign a better layout for this. In fact, I'm sure I probably will. But this is, in essence, our intermediate production facility. In other words, the one we started out with down there that was a real major hodgepodge was our seed colony. We've now moved into building a more permanent living situation, if you will. If we were to colonize, say, the moon or Mars or something like that, we'd kind of be doing the same thing. We'd go up there with the basics to be able to survive and live, and then we would be building the rest on site. You wouldn't ship all of the materials up there. You would set it up so that you could manufacture those materials on site, and not have to worry about bringing them with you, because it's impractical in that particular example to ship stuff that far. If any of you have ever played KSP, Kerbal Space Program, you know what I'm talking about with regards to flying stuff up into space and what it takes to provide your resources and what have you. If you've not checked it out, I recommend it, man. It's a kind of a cool game. Alright, so we are going to need iron gears, iron plates, and green circuits to be able to make these. And let's go ahead and tell it to make them, and then we will get our supplies going into it, and that will bring us to the point where we are we will have most of our basic needs covered at that point, as far as various types of equipment, and then we can go from there. So let's go ahead and extend these all the way up so that we can then start picking off of them. Because as I said, my intention is to kind of snake this main bus along the edges of the water, along the shoreline, and stick to the shoreline on this main base so that we can utilize the center of it to run our rails through. And I'm really looking forward to getting our rail system up and going, because then we'll have plenty of space to ship things in from other locations. Alright, so I said we needed plates, we needed gears, and we needed green circuits. Just wanted to make sure. So we're going to have to pick off plates, we're going to have to pick off gears, and we're going to have to pick off green circuits. Now, we can do one of two things. We can either run two separate lines all the way over there, or we can combine them right here. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to combine the two of them right here and just run a single line over there. So let's back ourselves up a little bit, and then we are going to pick off from there, and then we're going to want to go underneath, right? Oops, you know what? Let's make this a little closer. Right about there ought to do us. right? So that's going to be our underground belt to supply the system. Right? And that will give us our one input into the manufacturing, and we'll come up with this. Now again, we are picking off, so we want to maintain the integrity of our bus. So we're gonna put that back in, and then we're gonna come off of this one. But what we're also going to do, we're gonna come here, right? And I don't think I went up far enough. We will see. And yep, I didn't go up far enough. All right, not a problem. We will redo that real quick. So we want to go there. We'll max this out as far as we can. Right. So now we're going to pick off of this one. Right. So we got our splitter, and again we want to maintain the integrity of our bus. So we're going to keep pulling off the same side, and then we're just going to bring this around here. We're going to get rid of this so that we don't inadvertently start laying stuff on one side and then the other. All right, so there we go. So that's side feeding both sides of that belt, and it kind of splits it in two. Did I make another one? Let's make another one. I'm just going to put it down here just to see what effect it actually does have, if any. I think one of the things it does is it allows the left hand or right hand, depending on which side you're standing on, to potentially have the chance to pull one off of these and not stagnate your system. So there's that. Now we just need to bring our iron over. And on our iron, we are going to, since we're on the third one, we're going to do our fourth one, and we're just going to pick off from our fourth one. Yeah, we're going to do it right here. All right, and put in that. There we go. Oops, and you know what I did? When you're putting down these undergrounds, you want to put down the full set all at once. If you put down one side of the underground and not the other side, you end up screwing yourself up because it doesn't line up properly. So there we go. We've got that coming in. All we need to do is bring our output for that up, and bring our output for our belts up, and then we just got to power the system, right? Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. So now we should be making yellow inserters. Now I ran both of these up on this side because we're getting close to our lab anyway, and we want to be able to make green science packs, which require our belts and our inserters. Now we also want to be able to make red science packs, which now that we've got our bus up here, excuse me, we can start looking at both of these, and we can start concentrating on bringing all of this up. So we'll extend our bus up once again, even with this. Now we're at the point now where we're going to start looking at setting up our production on the other side of our belt. Oh, gee, if I only had a place to get belts. Now, I know I'm still only using yellow belts. Now that I have my yellow belts being produced, I can pick off of that to start producing in mass my high-speed belts, and at that point we will stop utilizing the yellow belts. So probably next episode we're going to set up several things. We're going to set up the science, and we're also going to set up our belt and inserter production, so that we have the various kinds of inserters and we have the various kinds of belts. And then we're going to set up for our red science and our green science, so that we have them being produced on site locally, and then we can start looking at what we need for our green science, our blue science, what we need for our black science, and what we need for our purple science. We'll start getting into those and start getting into the associated pieces, parts, in an automated fashion. Everything, as you guys know, everything in this game builds one on the other. So we've got our basic parts going now, and then we got our plates, we got our gears, we got our green chips. Now we've got our next basic parts, which is our belts and our inserters, and then everything else is driven off of that. So there we go. Now I have pulled off of all 4 lanes of this iron. So probably the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a balancer up here past it. I'll probably put in one for the copper, although we're not really pulling off of the copper yet, only at the one location. In fact, you know what, I'm not even going to waste, because we're only pulling off from the one location. I will probably put in a balancer here for the iron now that we've plucked off of all 4 lines, so that anything past it will continue to be balanced out between the 4, and we'll go from there. So there it is, guys. We are getting there on our production. Of course, our science right now is stopped because we are out of military science. That's not a big deal. I think I may have a few turrets left down in storage and stuff. If I do, what I'll probably do is just hand make enough military science to get us the energy shields completed, and get that out of our hair. In fact, we really don't need these turrets anymore. Let's pick these turrets up. Now that we have our nice pretty walls with our nice pretty lasers all the way around, unfortunately they are not on sharks, but so we can't put them in the water too. But yes, we do have lasers all the way around, and we have triple walls all the way around, and they are all powered up. So we are happening now. That concrete, I need to go back and pick it up at some point. That was one of those ruins. But there we go. You can see we're now well defended all the way around. We got that. We got our resources being sucked up. Power wise, I believe we are still pretty golden on power. Yeah, we're sitting pretty healthy on power right now. I would certainly hope so, considering the number of steam engines we have cranking out power. Very soon that will go over and start picking up a lot more solar. So there it is, guys. Again, if there's any mods that you guys think of that might be an interesting mod to include in this, by all means let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions on what mods. I have a couple more that I'm looking at, that I'm probably going to be putting in the next episode or two. There's some that I have long term that I want to put in, but I don't see any sense in putting them in right now until such a time as I'm actually going to start using them. So there's a truck mod that I'm going to try out the truck. I'm interested in trying out the truck, but I don't even have a car yet. So once we have the car, and once we can throw the truck in and see what the difference between a truck versus a car is, we can throw that one in. There's some other ones that are involved in the logistics circuits that I want to throw in and check out, but we're not that far yet, so there's no sense throwing those mods in. Down the road though, if you guys think of it, now the only one that I really kind of threw in that's way down the road is the Fusion Reactor mod, and I'll show you real quick. That's of course the portable fusion reactor for your suit. But if you get down here, one of the things that we can ultimately research is this fusion power reactor power station from Arch Fusion Reactor mod. But if you look, okay, research is not that bad. You got to research the other one, which is only 200. So the 500, it's not that bad. But look at what it takes to make that puppy. You need 5 portable fusion reactors, which is a pain to get in itself. But then you need 15 productivity 3 modules, 30 heat pipes, 50 explosives, 200 red wire, and 500 concrete. That's a lot of stuff to be making, man, especially those productivity modules. But that's okay, because I don't use them for anything else, so why not, have something that's going to use them. But look at what it puts out. Max output is 149 megawatts just for one of them. And the only thing it looks like it consumes is water. I'm not seeing any fuel input or anything on this. Now, obviously, I haven't built it yet. I don't know. But it looks like it consumes water and creates almost 150 megawatts of power. That's awesome. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to build. But I think in the long run, I think that's going to be kind of cool. Now, I don't know what it puts out for pollution. We'll have to see. I don't know whether there's any waste that comes out of this thing or anything else. I don't know. But I put that one in there because I ran across it. I didn't want to forget about it because my buddy Joe Mama had made a comment with regards to fusion power sometime back where we've got this backpack fusion power, but why don't we have a fusion reactor? So I wanted to put that in there to make sure it got included, so that we can definitely check it out. If you have not looked at his page, incidentally, go check it out, man. He's quite a ways along on his current series, way farther than I am. He's doing a learning Factorio series. Where he's experimenting with a lot of the ideas, and finding out how things actually work within the game. And he's doing some experiments and testing some different parameters within the game, and I think it's kind of neat. So I recommend you guys check it out. I'll throw the link down in the bottom, although probably half the folks that are watching this probably already know about Joe Mama because they've come over from his channel. But definitely go check it out, share the love, and we'll go from there. All right, I will talk to you guys later, and have a good one.